Hey, Hefe, welcome to Content Hefe, where we are determined to help you make better content and more money. Today's conversation is with a successful YouTuber with 500,000 subscribers and an expert creator who started out with curiosity and teaching her passions. And this is an approach that any one of us can take because we all have skills and things we're passionate about. And it just so happens that educational content is some of the best content that you can produce, especially as a business owner or if you want to monetize your content. So I wanted to interview a true Hefe of educational content, Kelsey Brannon, who you probably know as Premier Gal. And I wanted to ask her about her journey on YouTube and insights into building a successful channel. I wanted to know about her motivation and the drive behind her creation. And of course, I just had to ask her about her YouTube strategy and workflow, including how she develops her video ideas and conducts her research. And I had to get her advice on working with sponsors and negotiating rates. So as you can see, we've got a lot to learn. So let's get going.
Hot Sounds Cool presents Content Hefe, the podcast that helps online business owners make better content and more money. Let's Hefe up.
Kelsey, let's start with a really big question. Why YouTube?
YouTube is the place that everybody goes to learn, get answers, and connect. While I was joining YouTube and creating my channel, I was a video editor and producer. That was my job title. And oftentimes with technology, sometimes things happen. It's a lot of problem solving. And I would go to like forums, and sometimes the text would be not clear. The best place to like find an answer was YouTube. I just Google, why is this happening? And I would find a solution. And that's when I really discovered the power of SEO, search engine optimization with YouTube, because Google owns YouTube. I was like, wow, this is such a powerful tool. And I've always been interested in people that were making content at YouTube at the time. And this was in 2016. So there had been lots of active creators having success on the platform. But I knew that I wasn't like a vlogger type, and I was more of like a tech gal. So I was like, how can I pair my interest in YouTube with what I'm good at, what I like to do, which is video editing? So that's where that tutorial kind of content came to be. Because I was like, how can I share the answers that I may be not finding on YouTube to other creators and just kind of see how it does? It was kind of a gamble, and here we are 6, 7 years later and still going.
I love that. And you answered two of my other questions, which was, did you know anything about editing before you dove in? And is that what your background was? And then also, how many years have you been on YouTube?
I would say that, as we were saying before, as we were warming up, that if you have a passion or if you're good at something and you want to share that and connect with other people, like share that passion. It just so happened that my topic was video editing, post-production, visual effects, and everything around the content creation in general. But if you're like a bonsai plant specialist, you can have a YouTube channel on bonsai needs and people can tune in for that. Heck, I even watched this guy. I have no use case for this in my life whatsoever. He's a farmer and he trims the hooves of cows. But his content is so entertaining, and you just watch him like trim the hooves of these cows. And I'm never going to go out and trim a cow hoof, but because the guy's passionate about it and it's entertaining, I'm watching that. So it's like you can share anything that you want on YouTube. And it's such a great platform because it's so saturated that you can be so niche. The guy with the hoof trimming, the hoof GP, he's based in Scotland. He has over 2 million subscribers and he gets like millions of views. Like he gets 11 million views a month. And it's like, what? He's just some farmer in Scotland. It's just incredible. He's doing way better than me. And like, I would say our content is doing pretty good, but like, he's like skyrocketed. So if that doesn't give you hope, I don't know what, like, that's great.
We've been on YouTube now for 5 years and gone through the ups and downs and the roller coasters. And I was just in a meeting with a new editor that we just hired, and she was talking about how it looks like we have all of our stuff together all the time. And I know now that what we see on the outside of content of our favorite creators, that it took a lot of work and it takes a lot of commitment to get there and to keep going. And so it's kind of fascinating to me, like where you find the motivation and the drive. And I know that you mentioned that you got into it to fill a gap that you saw or to share your passion. But what keeps you going? What is it that motivates you to keep going with your YouTube channel? I'm like, there's a million farmers. Like, what is it about that guy? Why does
Yeah.
he turn a camera on?
Well, it's also the fascination too, just by everyday people trying to be interested. Like the one thing he's got going for him that's great about his content compared to my more technical content that maybe cannot be achieved or find interesting by everybody, because not everybody can like fully understand everything that I'm talking about in my video or will find a use case for it. But with his stuff, it's kind of like ASMR, like the sound, the scraping, and it's just fascinating in that regard. I think we're all kind of like fascinated by the things that we do in life in general. And YouTubers and creators like yourself, they are entrepreneurs in some regard. And rather than going out and starting a new mom and pop shop on the corner, we're turning to the thing that we have accessible to us, which is in our phones, which is in the cloud around us. It's like, how can we connect and share things? And we live in such a golden age of being able to run a business completely remote rather than having to build a shop. I think for me, I'm just fascinated by things all the time. And I think when you have an entrepreneurial spirit, you want to create things all the time. And what's so cool is when you're creating a YouTube video, you get to share that out with the world and to get responses and build a community around that. And if that is the essence of curiosity and what filmmaking is all about, then it's so easy to keep that motivation going because it's just constant curiosity. I was talking with my sister-in-law the other day and she's like, wow, you really know about all this new technology all the time. You should be like a consultant and advisor, because every single week I'm discovering something new that has to do with my niche. And so I never get bored with it because of that. People are like, how do you come up with topics all the time? I'm like, I have too many ideas. So it's hard to narrow it down. So for me, it's just the flexibility of going to the office in the afternoon, not having to go in at 9 a.m. and report and punch a time card. I mean, we don't really physically punch time cards anymore, but it's just so nice to have that flexibility now. Granted, I had to work my way up to get to this place, and there were lots of long nights and stuff, but there was never any moments where I was bored and thinking that this is not worth it.
I wonder if that's something that can be taught or if that's something that you're born with.
I was born this way.
I think you really hit it on the head with curiosity. I think that's really
Yeah,
fascinating.
it's just being like open. As humans, we all go through these experiences and like some bad experiences in our life, and it can cause a person to shut down and not believe in themselves and get down and not think positively. The thing about children that's so great is that they have that natural curiosity. They're exploring things. And sometimes as adults, you're like, oh, this is just life. Like, I have to do my laundry. I have to take the dogs on a walk and punch my time card. It's like, it doesn't have to be like that. Think more creatively of how you can spend your time and find that spark again. I feel like the thing is, you're afraid of failure. If you try to think like a child where you take more risk and do those things, then I think the outcome and the reward is much higher because you're putting yourself out there and you're learning all the time. It's just about trying to harness that embodiment of being okay if failure does happen and making mistakes and learning from them. In terms of doing, you just learn by doing. You just make your first video. My first video was really bad. I didn't have a microphone. I used my built-in microphone on my laptop. I didn't really know how to like talk normally to camera. I did a little bit of on-camera stuff at my job, but not a whole lot. I sounded like a late night talk host. I was like, hey, everybody, it's Premier Gal. It's like, why am I talking like that? You just develop that over time. It's not going to happen overnight. Even today, there's still difficulties trying to figure out what content does well and trying to bridge the gap between things that interest me and things that are trending on YouTube, right? So you have to find that fine balance. And I've talked with other creators that struggle with this too. And it's like, make content that will do well because it's your business and you need views and you need sponsors coming to you. But maybe do one video a month that's just for you. So you fill that void up, or you find that balance is a better way of saying it. Sometimes we feel like we're slaves to the algorithm these days, but we also shape it as well. It's a fine line. And there's some videos that still don't do as well. Some of my videos just take a lot of time before views start to come because of the way that the search engine works. I, by all means, don't have immediate virality, if that's a word. And I don't think virality is the key to success. It's like slow and steady, keep consistent, and you can make that your full-time job. And we're, I think, very close to 500K subscribers now, and it's just been consistent. We didn't like race to the finish line and burn out and like, oh, can't do this anymore. It's how can you make this a full-time job by staying curious, exploring the things that you like, sharing your passion, and not going crazy. You know what I mean?
If you were to go back, did you say it was 7 years? It's only 7 years?
Whoa, wait, it was in like the summer of 2016 and I wasn't really consistent yet. So it was like half of the year. So it'll be almost 8 years come July and August.
Wow. It feels like it would take longer to build what you've built than that. If you could go back to that moment though in time, was that your idea? Did you think I want to make this a full-time job?
I didn't think I was like, "Oh, this is gonna be a full-time job, it's happening." I didn't necessarily say that, but I was excited about it. It was something new and something that when I did it, I was happy and I was like, "Okay, this could be something that is clicking for me right here. How cool would that be if I could just do this?" I just put that vision in my head, a manifestation of what this could be, and just drove with it and tried out different content. But I wasn't like, "Okay, this is my full-time job. This is my business plan. These are my economic goals for this year." Like, I wasn't really like that. It just happened naturally. And eventually, I turned it into a company and a business. And now we sell products alongside our content as well. But I didn't necessarily have that vision planned out. But I knew that I could find creative ways to make money. And part of my motivation at the time was I had just graduated from grad school. I still had a massive student loan debt. And I was living in the DC area at the time after my grad school, working a full-time job, and it just wasn't enough income to pay off my student loans for like another 25, 30 years. And I was like, this is ridiculous. So I also had this motivation of trying to pay off my student loans at the time. So I was creative in the sense, how can I make some money to supplement this? And because I was consistent enough, now YouTube pays me way more than I would ever make in a full-time senior video editing position. And my student loans are already paid off because of that. People say I have a very determined personality, and sometimes I'm a little bit stubborn too. I'm a Taurus. I don't know if you believe in astrology, but
Yeah.
Tauruses are very creative and they're very stubborn too. So if I put my mind to something, I'm going to freaking do it. I had that going. I always laugh with my friends and my partner being like, well, if I didn't have a student loan, would I have created a YouTube channel? I always think about that, I mean, it's a real thing because maybe I would have been fine with the income that I was making. Anyway, that was a huge motivator for me, I think.
What a journey. And now not even living in the United States.
You can live anywhere you want, basically. I mean, you have to abide by the local laws and probably form some sort of company wherever you are, but there's a lot of cosmopolitan nomads. You can choose where you want to be.
Which is incredible. That's just, I think, the beauty of what you would call the creator economy. I know that there's people listening, people watching this show, that's what they are thinking about doing. I feel like there's one of two people usually that we talk with a lot. And one is like they're lucky enough to already have maybe a skill set that they're really confident in. Maybe like you're in that category. I was in that category too. I was an audio guy, audio engineer, making not enough money at all. But then there's people like Veronica, who's my partner and also the partner in crime at the Pod Sound School, the other host here. She was law school and kind of had her creativeness talked out of her. I think most people long for creativity. Most people long to have fulfilling work and feel appreciated for something that they do. People who are listening, they're either on the fence of wanting to join with their passion or they're wanting to start something online. And I think that it's hard sometimes to believe that it's possible. And it's also really easy to get embarrassed. Like you mentioned, your
Yeah.
personality when you first started, I had one of those too. I actually still kind of have that, this alter ego I've created, Studio Steve.
You just have to embrace it and you become more natural over time. Although there is still moments where, you kind of are like, okay, recording mode. Oh, wait, no, just be yourself. But as you said, your partner being from law school, I think sometimes people get the wrong idea that if you're in accounting or you're a math person or you're a science person, that you're not creative. And I don't think that that's true. I think no matter what field you are in, there's creativity involved. And I think some people just associate creativity with like the arts, and that's not the case these days. There's complete channels that are just based on law or accounting, sharing tips and tricks, and they all have success. And they're all being creative in the way that they display that content, right? There really are no limits in that regard. And I think that that is exciting in itself.
That's good. I want to kind of get a little philosophical with you and just kind of
Sure.
pick your brain with that way because that was really fun for me. But now we could get back to some nitty gritty YouTube stuff. I wanted to know like where you learned your YouTube strategy. What is some of your process of how you come up with video ideas or the keyword research that you do? Do you use TubeBuddy or vidIQ? How does that look for you on a weekly workflow basis?
We don't really get too ahead because a lot of the stuff that we talk about is kind of in the moment, and people contact us about this new tool that's being released like this week. So it's still maybe a month ahead at the most because of that. And so at the beginning of each month, I just map out the content that I'm thinking about making. Some of it might be like what's new in Premiere Pro, or maybe there's a new tool that does this cool new thing like AI video generation or something. And I just put placeholders for that content. And I use a tool called Cascade. It's kind of like Notion, it's a project management tool. And I have one writer slash editor and two other editors that work for me. And then my partner too, who helps me with the ideation. And we just schedule it out. And then we assign sponsors to each video. So one main monetization, our main source of income is through direct sponsorships. We also have affiliate programs, and then we also have our products, and then we have just the main YouTube AdSense. We map out the sponsors to the content, making sure it's a good fit, and then we write the content out. Once it's written, all the research is done. That's easy. I can just sit in front of my camera and just jam and record. And once everything's done, I use Dropbox, upload the footage to the editor, wait for approval, and I send it off to the sponsor if there's a sponsor for that video to review. In terms of keyword stuff and how I come up with those topics.
Hey, Hefe, I wanted to interrupt this episode with another question for you. Since we're chatting with the bee's knees of video editing, have you ever thought about becoming an editor yourself? At Pod Sound School, we have a podcast editing certification and coaching program that also teaches video podcast editing. Actually, one of our superstar editors from that program, Stacy, has edited this episode for you. Hi, Stacy. In the program, we take you from zero to portfolio, fleshed out website, and accepting your first clients all within 12 weeks. 12 weeks from now, you could be making legitimate money editing podcasts for interesting and incredible creators and professionals. The program is available by application only, so you can go to podcastingsmart.com/EditLab to apply. I will also leave the link in the episode description. And if you are currently editing video in Premiere, you've got to check out Premiere Gal's must-have templates. Go to premieregal.com and check out the toolkits that can take your Premiere editing to another level. Okay, now back to the episode.
In terms of keyword stuff and how I come up with those topics, as I was saying earlier about finding stuff that interests me and stuff that's trending, right now, a lot of things that are popular in all businesses is AI tools. So a lot of times Premiere Pro is like, oh, we just came up with this new AI enhanced speech. So I kind of research videos that do well and what type of titles they have, what types of tags they have. I have used vidIQ in the past, but also with the help of ChatGPT and custom GPTs now, you can actually use custom GPTs to generate trending keywords for you. And I know vidIQ has integrated that a little bit, which gives you an SEO score. Like, did you attach a custom thumbnail? Do you have captions? Did you add an end card? Did you add a card? And it gives you like a checklist to make sure you did all of that. Did you pin a comment? Did you comment on your video? Did you respond to comments? Because keeping engaged with your audience is important too. But the keywords and the titles are just in the moment. I'm like, what should I call this that's catchy enough, that clearly states what that video is about, while not feeling too gimmicky and too clickbaity at the same time. So it's a fine line between making an exciting title that captures what your video is about while not being like too gimmicky, if you know what I mean. Like, awesome new game changer. Like that's kind of you know? You need to be careful with how many times you say mind blowing, because then it just becomes a little not mind blowing, if you know what I mean. I've experimented with thumbnails too, where I'm like, and the kind of whoa reaction thumbnail is kind of passe now too. So I'm reverting back to like creative ways to display what is happening in the video through a thumbnail. And that takes time. And sometimes videos that have the worst thumbnail ever do great over time. And so I wouldn't spend too much time beating yourself up on trying to get the perfect design when at the end of the day, as long as it's simple enough to understand what's going on and it's not too busy, it'll do the job, right?
Do you ever redo your thumbnails or go to videos that aren't performing well and replace the thumbnail?
Oh, yeah, totally. Or sometimes Anya, my partner, will come and be like, this thumbnail's really bad. Like, we need to change this. I'm like, wait a minute, I spent so much time on that. And we'll go through our thumbnails and say like, oh, that one's not doing so well. Let's try to update it and see what happens. And sometimes it makes a slight impact, but it doesn't really change that much. It's more for us being like, okay, we want to make sure that that thumbnail is representing our brand and the way that we tell our stories. If something isn't clear, we want to update that and try it. Like, for example, a recent video we made was on this new automation tool that can automate certain tasks for you in Premiere Pro. For example, like a one-click slideshow. So you can like click a bunch of photos in a folder and it can automatically add the animation to it, which saves you time. But that's not all that that does. There's different automation tools. So we kept going back and forth. The main word in the thumbnail was automate. But now we're like, maybe we should have it say slideshow. And the reason why it has a little mouse button like clicking on automate, because slideshows in general on my channel do really well. We have another slideshow video that's like 3 ways to create slideshows, and it just I don't know how many views it has, but I think it has over 500,000 views at least.
Mm.
Maybe we should go with things that have worked. So we still have to use our prior knowledge of trial and error to then try it out. I haven't had time yet to update it, but we were just talking about it like yesterday. We were like driving home and she was like, "Oh, we need to change this." I'm like, "Oh, darn, I haven't had a chance to." So it's not like a super like we have like a map, like things that we need to update. It's just kind of like we review like week to week and just do it when we can. It's kind of ad hoc.
There's just so much. I'm just thinking about all of the different things. And now, as someone who's in that arena too of like thumbnail testing and trying to figure out what works, I was going to ask you too, do you prefer to record your videos by yourself and you just run it yourself? You don't have a crew with you?
I mean, I just have the camera set up here in the same spot. I used to have to move things around and I have my same light right above me. I have the background here all set up. So all I have to do is like move my mic into place, screen record, hit record. I have like an on camera. It's an Andy Cine 4K, like it's like a 5-inch monitor on top so I can see myself a little bit better. I know some people have like a big screen so they can really see the detail in the image, but I don't have that. And sometimes Anya will be behind camera. And like when I was first starting out, sometimes she would be behind camera. Like before I had editors and I was working a lot, I was editing the videos too. I would be up late. So I'd be like tired. So she would be behind the camera and be like, okay, like get excited or smile or take a shot of cognac or something just to like relax a little bit. And this is all real. And up until about 12 months ago, she would be there all the time behind the camera, smiling and getting me hyped up. But now I think that energy transferred over to me. Sometimes she'll be like, okay, be a little bit more energetic. Because sometimes when you're like saying something, you can get a little monotone. But I think I do a pretty good job at trying to like keep it conversational as best as possible. So it's pretty much just me recording and like she's here doing project management in the same room as me. So I'm not like alone when I'm filming. I still feel like I have that support around me, but all my editors are remote and we just communicate via Slack and Discord and that stuff.
Wow, that's so fascinating. I love it. It's accessible. That's what I'd really like people to take away from your story is that
Started on a couch.
yeah. Always the excuses come up like, well, yeah, Studio Steve, you worked in recording studios. You have that skill set to edit your own videos or whatever it is. But it's more than that because there's editors you can hire, there's people
Yeah.
that you can work with. So then there's really just one other thing I'm very fascinated with. And I think that could be very helpful for creators who already have a YouTube channel. They've gotten to that place where they're like a couple thousand subscribers, so they're committed. And then they start to get approached by sponsors. And I was wondering if you could go back, is there something that you wish you would have known about working with sponsors when they first started approaching you, like around 10,000, 20,000 subscribers?
I think I've always kind of knew that when I do sponsored content, they have to fit into my content and not the other way around. Sometimes sponsors can come in and be very bossy and be like, we want a dedicated video entirely about the tool. And it's like, no, like this is my channel. We can try to figure out an authentic, creative way to put you guys in. Otherwise, it just feels too salesy. So trying to see that perspective always, sometimes you can get excited about opportunities, but remember, they came to you with interest, right? So
Mhm.
don't get it twisted here. Unless you're making it for their channel, which is also fine. I've done that before too. I've had people come to me and be like, oh, you're a great educator. Could you make a tutorial for our YouTube channel? And in that case, it actually works out great because I can do the whole video about their product and not really have to worry about it being different from my content. But there has been times where I've agreed to deals where it just didn't feel like I had all the control and I kind of lost that. But I learned, remember, this is your channel and you want to make sure that you're making the content that you want to put out there and they can be one part of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Creating media kits are really useful too. If you make a media kit, I have one that's online that we just update and we put all of our analytics in there, like how many views the last 30 days, our demographics, including where they are geographically and age, because a lot of sponsors are interested in that data. So I was like, I'm just going to put it all up here so that way I don't have to deal with finding that data every single time. And then I have different package options like integration, which is just integrating the product, a dedicated video review, a 3 integration package, a YouTube short, an Instagram reel, a blog post, a newsletter. And I have examples so people can just get a quick glimpse at that. So that way it's a great starting point. Sometimes people will argue it's better to have the sponsor to show their budget first. Oftentimes what we'll do is we'll respond to an email. We'll be like, yeah, what type of collaboration were you interested in and what type of budget are you working with? And sometimes they will give you a number that maybe is higher than your existing price. So it's always good to have that as a starting point. And then other times, if they're not willing and they respond and they're like, actually, what is your price? Usually then we'll give them our media kit. And usually the people that ask our price normally have smaller budgets. It's really interesting to see those patterns after working with sponsors almost every week for the past 3 years.
I like that you touched on integrity. I never get the sense that you're being too salesy.
It's intentional.
So I think that's a really good example of how to do it. I also just think it's so noteworthy and fascinating to me how well you have all of that put together in your mind with the media kit, because I feel like that knowledge is really scarce. It's kind of hard to find that information. Did you
Yeah.
just learn that by getting thrown to the fire? And are you now more assertive in your communication with sponsors and you won't accept rates that are too low? How do you get higher rates and what are some of your negotiation tactics?
There's a lot of different strategies, some of which I talked about too, about not revealing your price first. But I think that the pricing thing is something that just developed over time, and getting access to that information is difficult. I also have lots of other YouTuber friends that I've met over the years, and we've worked with similar sponsors. And I told my friend my price, and she was like, I think yours is too low. Like, you should be charging more. Like, this is what I charge. So we share insider data with each other. It's just something that happens over time. And then you start to think like a sponsor too after you do it after a while. And you're like, okay, so their goal is conversions. And you can start to estimate how many conversions you can get for them and how much money is that making them and what percentage of that would you want and you think is fair. And so sometimes we do hybrid models where we do an upfront fee and then affiliate too. So that way we have ongoing income, passive income, plus that upfront fee. And those are the sweet spots because you're still generating income for them and you're still getting income for that video that still exists on the platform. Sometimes sponsors don't like that because they're like, oh, we just do a flat fee and that's it. And sometimes we agree to that too, and it's fine. But you never want to just do affiliate only, I think, because while affiliate can be very rewarding because you get a percentage of each sale that you refer, at the same time, it also is risky too, because sometimes people don't want to buy the first time that they see a product. It takes them many times to see it. So your video is just contributing brand awareness and they might remember, oh, Studio Steve mentioned this product a couple months ago. Let me Google that and sign up for it. And you're not rewarded by that Google search, right? So
Yeah.
I always try to explain that to newer sponsors. There's sponsors that get the business or they hire an agency and they know how affiliate works. They understand brand awareness and they get it. And some of them give us so much creative freedom and they're so great to work with. And I love those sponsors. They're awesome. And then there's other ones where you really have to explain it. And so having that language templatized somewhere, like explaining why we charge the upfront fee, all this is very, very useful to have. I couldn't recommend having that kind of boilerplate language saved in a Google Doc or something so you can just communicate better. And sometimes it's not worth it. If they don't get it, then I can just be like, you know what? I'm so sorry, but the budget is a little bit too low and we have other sponsors waiting for the spot. Because essentially what you're doing is we have real estate, right? Each YouTube video is real estate that we're selling to sponsor spots. So if this person is giving us a difficult time, we're going to sell it to somebody else who's just a little bit easier to work with.
I love that. That's really valuable insider stuff. I can't believe it. It's cool.
Yeah, it totally is. It's not really like selling the property though. I think a better analogy is I was thinking like renting because you still have to deal with that tenant later on a little bit. So it's like they're like, how is your unit doing? How is the unit performing? Well, the washer machine it's just kind of like because you still have a relationship with them in some capacity because their product is still associated with your content in some form.
Yeah,
So
and those videos continue performing for years. So it really is real estate in that sense. And I think that's something that's very unique to YouTube. And what's so cool about YouTube is the staying power that the content has on YouTube.
developing a good agreement too, like we have a templatized agreement that we send to our new clients to sign. And for new clients, we ask for 50% upfront and 50% once it's published because we've had some sponsors pull out a week before and we didn't have that 50%. And that 50% is non refundable in our
Mm.
agreement. So it keeps them in. But once we have a good relationship with people, we're like, don't worry about the 50% upfront. We're good. Just pay when we publish.
Hmm.
But I think that is something that we learned over time because we had to go through that experience where somebody was like, oh, sorry, we don't have budget anymore. And it's like, what? You know?
I think that, again, that's just so encouraging because if you go back to the early days, a lot of times when we're trying to get started with something, those things, the kind of things you're talking about just seem so far away, like they're not even going to happen. But if you just get on the platform and you start being consistent, people start hitting you up. And then it's crazy. Within a few sponsorships, you start being able to charge more than you ever imagined, or just being able to really create something lucrative for yourself. I appreciate all of that so much. And I think that pretty much covered most of what I wanted to get at with you.
Nice.
Is there any other ideas or thoughts that you had, little nuggets that we could capture real quick?
Just trust yourself. I know it sounds kind of cheesy to say, but as a creator, you can kind of have self-doubt creeping in sometimes, and you just got to ignore all the noise and just focus on the things that have worked for you that you enjoy doing and be open to exploring new ways of doing things too, because we're sometimes creatures of habits and we can get stuck in this one way. But if you maybe make one tweak to your production flow and be more open to letting things go, which is something I've had to learn how to do, let the editors run with it. Invite a new writer in and let them run with it and see how it goes. And that can be difficult, but you just have to be open to that.
Open and adaptable. I think
Yeah.
the themes are creativity, but really the creativity comes from a childlike curiosity, which I really love. It makes me wonder a little bit about your childhood. I imagine that you like to paint and do art and stuff. Is that accurate?
My mom is like a painter, but I was an artist. I was always curious. I was also a pretty good nerdy student. Like I was pretty good. I got good grades and did all that stuff. But I was super silly. I was class clown in high school. And I was one of those people that kind of got along with all the different groups. Like I was like in the popular crowd. I was on the homecoming court. I was also a jock. Like I did 3 sports. I also hung out with the artsy people and the computer nerds and stuff. So I was easily adaptable type of person. And maybe that has helped me be more open in general because I see how all sides are. And in my full-time job, I worked at the State Department and I interviewed people from all over the world, from all different walks of life. So I really don't have judgment and I see more where people are coming from. And by being kind of a good communicator and understanding person, you are better at doing business too, because you
Hmm.
see what the other person sees better. You can kind of understand where they're coming from. So yeah, I had a great upbringing too. Like my parents were very fun, easygoing, and that helps too.
Yeah, that's the kind of stuff that's just so fascinating to me because that's why I said, like, where does it come from? Like, are you born with it? Can you teach it? Because I just have to believe that everybody has it. I have to believe that like every human has the capability of being
Totally.
creative and taking that leap of faith and betting on themselves and starting something. The reason I believe that is because it's working too for us. Like every insecurity in the book you can mention that took me to get in front of a camera, you know? And so
Yeah.
this has just been like such a cool conversation and I really appreciate your time.
Thank you so much, Steve. I always like going on podcasts every once in a while. It's good to kind of reflect on things too. So I really enjoyed it as well.
And there you have it. Pretty incredible, right? I hope you found this episode inspiring. And if you have any hesitations about getting started with a YouTube channel or editing, I hope that it's more accessible to you now. The reality is you just have to get started, trust where you're at and your own instincts and curiosity, and be amazed at the places it takes you. If you haven't started creating content yet, what are you waiting for? What's holding you back? Let me know in the comments. I want to shake you free of your nonsense and push you out of your comfort zone and in front of the microphone. That's why I'm here. So don't be a stranger. Keep checking in with Content Hefe and share the show with a friend. And until next time, no excuses, friend. There's the internet. It's time to Hefe up.